Hello and welcome to the Tech on Toast podcast. My name's Chris Fletcher and this is season 12. Tech on Toast podcast is serving up fresh chats with the sharpest minds in hospitality and tech. If you're looking to level up your ops, streamline your service, or just sprinkle a little tech magic into your business, you've come to the right place. And guess what? Our partners Lightspeed are back this season to look after us. They're the EPOS and payments platform helping over 165,000 businesses. Businesses such as Big Mama, Mildred's, Mallow, and Cubit House. They'll help you scale at, you guessed it, the speed of light. See what I did there? With real-time insights, faster transactions, and slick integrations with people like OpenTable, Xero, Muse, and many more, Lightspeed's unified platform is built to boost your performance and turn your tables quicker than you can say flat white, extra hot. So, if you need fast funding, check out Lightspeed Capital. No hidden fees, no interest charges, just smart support when you need it. If you're curious about all of this, just head over to lightspeed.co.uk/tech on toast and book yourself a free demo. You won't regret it. Now, enough of that. Ready for the next episode? Let's go. Welcome to the next episode of Tech on Toast podcast, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Jonny McKenzie and some fans, I will say in the corner here, that you can't see on camera. Yeah, there you go, you can hear them. Co-founder and CEO of Bustle. Jonny, how are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
I'm all right. Welcome to sunny London.
It is beautiful.
We were just discussing how rare that might be.
A little bit more rare from the other times I've been here, but this is definitely a treat.
And I think we have to put this out there that Jonny's just travelled 28 hours just for the Tech on Toast podcast, which I really appreciate, Jonny.
Just for this. Make
Coming
sure
over
here in time, yeah.
Where have you come from today?
I came from Auckland, New Zealand. So.
Wow. It's a beautiful place. I was just saying, a good friend of ours and a fellow podcaster, John Mason, who owns Sideways, also from that neck of the woods. So hopefully you two will meet each other at some point. He is in London this week. I'll try and do an intro.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's here for another week. So
well, that's easier. Yeah.
There's a pre-context to this conversation if anyone's listening.
Right, got it.
So before we start, Jonny, tell me a little bit about your background, because I'd love to know more about you before we get onto Bustle.
Yeah, sure. So background is, where does it start? Basically...
Go back to school if you want. I mean...
Yeah. One day. No, I mean, I did the old classic, when you try and get a sort of day job. I was doing my IT degree when I went to university, thinking IT was a place where I could possibly make some money.
Yeah.
And pivoted to cocktail bartending because that's far more lucrative.
Much more fun, but yeah.
Way better.
Was it lucrative? I mean, it actually was for a while, no?
It was for a while, yeah. So that's how I opened my first cocktail bar when I was 20 with my brother.
Wow.
And it's still going today, which is great. He's
Over back home?
Back home,
right.
So he's still got it. In that time, sort of opened 3 cocktail bars and a cinema, which was an interesting pivot as well. I don't recommend doing that one. And then off the back of that, the opportunity to sort of get back into tech. So it was like a big loop round. And so really loved hospo, loved everything about it, and then realized it was just not.
Yeah, but you can do the hard yard. I always say the best product comes out the back of someone actually experiencing, right? And Nori, I was at a Nori thing this morning. They were asking me to talk about what advice I would give them. And I said, look, you need to understand the industry you're selling into. It's just not like anything else.
Yeah.
It's a bit emotive. We're very community driven. If you do something bad, everybody knows really quick.
Very
do something
quick,
good, same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it is tough. Did that experience really help you kind of build what you're into now?
Yeah, I mean, the experience was at the time, because I had the 3 bars in the cinema. The cinema was like, I was taking up all my life. I didn't realize, you kick off. I didn't know how they
presume there was a wet-led version in the cinema, right? Was there bars in the cinema or
We
not?
had a full restaurant and a cafe
Right,
and a little cocktail bar upstairs, hence why I was involved. But what I didn't truly understand about a cinema is you couldn't just choose what movies you wanted to play. You have to sort of get into a contract and you have to show a number.
Really? You're gonna debunk the whole thing about
the whole
cinemas?
thing. I'm going under on this. Yeah, so you had to, we had to start playing movies at 8 a.m. knowing no one would turn up because you have a contract where you got to show it 4 times a day. And if you got a 3-hour movie, because Lord of the Rings came along, and suddenly every movie became 3 hours for whatever reason.
Because we had nothing better to do before the pandemic. You see, life was boring.
Everyone just wanted to hang out in cinemas. And so basically I had to be there from sort of 7 in the morning to open up, and then you wouldn't finish till 1 o'clock. By the time the
That's so insane, isn't it? Making a business do that, or making it behave that way, and then wondering why it might go west.
Wonder, yeah. And then they had obviously Netflix came along. I was like, where's it all going to go this way? So I got out, but still going though.
Really?
Yeah. The cinemas, it's beautiful. It was an Art Deco old cinema redone.
Yeah, in my mind, I can kind of picture it. I kind of see, that cool vibe.
I was pretty lucky. My business partners were Weta Digital and Weta Workshop, the creators. So it was very well fitted out. Amazingly fitted out.
And I have to ask straight away before we get into it, what's the hospitality scene over in Auckland? very different to I mean, obviously there's a difference in scale, but similar evergreen type problems over there to what we experience here, or different?
No, pretty similar. There's they're definitely going through the challenges of wages have been going up over the last 4 years, sort of increasing. Obviously, the cost of goods have definitely skyrocketed pretty heavily. And what they haven't had is like the sort of, I guess, the operational costs, your sort of your power and, sort of, and water hasn't moved too much. But the challenge, of course, is that the work from home balance. We still haven't really had that pull back into CBDs, so the CBDs are really struggling. You're seeing a lot of Wellington's probably the worst I've seen it since I've been alive. So it's a shame.
It sucks, doesn't it?
It really does. Like it'll bounce back because hospitality does, but it's definitely
Well, we're nothing but resilient, right?
That's
so it does change. And when you built Bustle, how did that come about? Was that is your co-founder's not your brother in Bustle then?
No.
You said that. No,
definitely not. No, it was a funny story. I went to one of these weird things. It was a breakfast club, and the guest of honor was my mother, and they got my three brothers, or my two brothers, myself, to be the guest speakers to talk about my mother.
Right.
And some guys in the office or in the room sort of like, can we talk to you about making a coffee ordering app? And I was like, sure, we'll go for a coffee. Let's have a chat. And they were like, true to their form, developers who just didn't want to talk to the people when they order their coffee. They were like, is there any way we can do this through our phone so we just don't have to communicate?
We don't want to associate with any humans.
No touching. No engagements. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. How does that work with the point of sale? And they're like, what's a point of sale? And I was like, this is going to be a good conversation.
Just got longer.
Yeah. So they had talked to Vaughan from Vend. So at the time, there was another POS company coming in New Zealand. I flew up, met Vaughan, and said, is there any way we can make a variation for hospitality that works with Vend? And he was like, actually, that'd be great because that's one of our problem children is hospitality. And so I was like, great, because I was about to use your product, but I can't use it because it's not made for me. So here we go. And that became the weekend job.
Wow.
On top of the other weekend hospitality job. So the day job. Yeah.
And before, what does Bustle do? I mean, like, for anybody who's not seen you, not heard of you, we've kind of alluded to it already, but what does the product do?
So the baseline product is point of sale or your till system, but what we've moved more to is the cafe management software. So probably the uniqueness is that cost of goods and wage costings and operational costs that come into it. So not just about the point of sale of the capturing of the data through the till, but really trying to give the operators a bit more understanding of how their operation's going, what profits they're making, and what money they're making.
So overview, it's like I keep thinking of the name of this product, like a central ops product where it would basically food cost, labor cost, revenue, basically. It covers all three and gives you that kind of ability to own and manage what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which I think is huge, right? And do you guys, I know originally you focused on the smaller businesses, but are you looking further up the lane? Nope. Staying in your lane.
Staying right.
It's quite
where
impressive.
I look after. Yeah.
Most people I ask really struggle at that. Yeah, they want to say no, but they all want to go mid market.
I never was. Like you touched on it, like where I've come from. So we're building a product for who I was, which was a guy who had four businesses. They were spread across the city. And my problem was I had no idea how they were all going. So I just wanted to know through my phone how everything was going and how could I help them. So that's where it all came from, and that's where I'm sticking because that's my people. It's
very interesting when we talk to some bigger groups through the network we have, and it's very much a meeting. A lot of time spent with people and picking problems, whatnot. But the smaller guys is a transaction. A lot of the time, it's kind of like we haven't got anything.
Yep.
And we need something, or they've got half of it, and they kind of need the completion bit. How quickly do they see kind of, improvements once they have something like Bustle? I mean, not improvements, but how quickly do they get clarity, I suppose, over what they're doing around their business?
Slowly.
Yeah.
Because I fully respect it. The target audience we're going for, we call them creatives, right? They're there because they love making.
They still care, right? They've not been overinvested yet or been ruined by a VC.
That's it. They don't have to do financial returns that had margins, etc. They're there for the love of it. So one of our challenges is trying to make it so easy for them that they can actually do it. Just little nuggets every week. Just try and increase this, get this recipe in there, get these wages in there, just start to build it in and get a full understanding how your business is going. But it's not going to happen overnight because they don't have time. Like the fridge will break or the plumbing breaks or something.
Yeah, and they're on, right? All the time.
They're always on.
Yeah. I find it's actually a really unique market to sell to because they're time poor, obviously. I mean, everyone says hospitality people are time poor. But these people particularly are probably not time poor, but they invest their time, like you say, in the stuff they love. The reason they built this business is because they're obsessed with coffee or bakery or whatever it is they might be doing. And they probably care less for tech. Would that be fair in saying that? Or not less for tech, but less in the way of like, that bit's the bit I don't want to do.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Like no one really wants to know
No
how
one
bad
really wants to
you're
see
doing.
their accounts, no.
No. So like our mission is like 5% profit. Like that's our ultimate goal, is all our customers make 5% minimum. Like that's what we want to drive everyone towards. And it's because, if you hit 5%, you're paying yourself. It's probably one of the biggest rare things in this game. Is like people are like, yeah, I made money. It's like, did you pay yourself? They're like, well, I paid myself out of the money I made. It's like, well, that's not. But you did the 60 hours or 70 hours or 80 hours. So.
Yeah.
So it's about trying to sort of gamify it. So they're like, okay, so if I just do this, or I just get that extra coffee sold on a continuous basis, or I just get next to the 50 quid through the till, I could start to actually sleep better because I'm actually going to be able to pay my bills next week.
And I guess a lot of these guys aren't looking for growth in terms of multiple locations. They may be looking for security or growth in their business, but that might happen, right? Obviously, if you're successful, if you're doing your 5% and you suddenly start to grow, that there's a potential that you guys turn into a multi-site operator in that sense, in the fact that you might grow with them.
Well, to be honest, one of the things we've got is like, so we look after customers. We've got up to like 10 or 15 places.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm actually quite excited when they go, we're too big for you. I send them a cake. I'm like, awesome, you did it. You did it. Literally, you broke the chances of actually making it. So like, for you, go forth. You're going to have way more challenges.
God, this is refreshing. Sorry, anyway, no, because it's very rare that someone sticks to what they're doing. And I understand why people get overinvested and have to deliver for, when you get big customers, often they want big things, right?
They do.
But I love the fact that you're purely obsessing with what you set out to do.
Yeah, I mean, once you get that size, we start touching this just outside. I mean, the style of business you start running, you want to do way more add-ons. Your loyalty gets a little bit more hectic because you're now trying to do bucket systems that you can go buy a voucher here, go all over the show and do all these things. You're doing some sort of cross-promotional advertising at all your sites, trying to get them to drive in. Basically, you've got an administration team. Like, without a doubt, once you hit 10 sites, there's probably an office.
It's no longer fun, is it?
It's a different type of fun.
Well put.
And for me, it's
equals not fun.
equals it, yeah. So I think for us, that's just not our people, and we won't be able to service them properly, just straight up, because our characters will be. We want to help you when you're trying to deal with that, like. Yeah, like literally the toilet's just broken. Is there any way you guys can help me solve how my online menu?
I was about to say, how quickly are you drawn into this? Because it's quite an emotive world you'll live in, right? Because a lot of these guys, as you say, obsessed with their business, really care about it. Is it quite hard not to be drawn into the emotional side of these guys who are independent owner operators who are kind of living their dream and you're part of it now?
It truly, yeah, it's hard. It's I mean, I sort of like probably especially these last 3 years, the number of cancellations because the doors are closing.
Yeah.
Like we obviously see that, and that has been pretty hard to tell.
That means so much more, that without being rude, chains who are listening, it means so much more for an individual operator to close than it does to close in Cardiff, as amongst of 100 sites as it would be. No offense. Oh God, I'm trying not to offend people, but it's much more because that family's directly connected to that closure.
That's it.
And I've got friends who run businesses like that all over the country, who are all the kind of similar. In Wales, particularly, we have a lot of friends who are independent owner operators, and it's emotional. They're 7 days a week.
That's it.
Yeah.
And they're part of the community.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows that place is shut down, and that's you just know it's gonna be a break, and there's gonna be a bit of time where that healing process has to come through, and we'll see it, but that sucks.
And if I'm an independent owner operator and I buy Bustle, how quickly can I because part of the resistance sometimes is the switch on. So even the big guys, obviously they petrified of it, but for the little guys still, because they're like kind of in their day to day, how quickly can they kind of plug in and go?
I mean, the fastest we've had someone live is in 2 hours, but
it's quite good.
It's understanding that's knowing that first off, you just need buttons. You can build the buttons pretty quickly and just duplicate and roll it out and help you get that going. Then you get into the costing analysis, etc. That takes a bit more time. But when you've got the old, my till just broke. We had this a lot more with the legacy tills that are out there, the big black ones, when naturally because the servers were down by the coffee machine grinds and they just got, so summer was like, we got a lot of sales at Christmas because that's when the overheating would happen back in New Zealand. And so all the tills would just break and they'd be like, what can we do? We're like, buy an iPad, we'll have you up and running by tomorrow morning. And they're good to go.
What does the product look like then? Is it a tablet?
Yeah, it goes on iPads.
Right, okay.
Yep. We learned that from our good friends at Vend. So when I met Vaughan, he was the original sort of founder of it. we had these great. I went into the office and he was like, "Yep, there's my sales team. There's 2 of them. There's my support team. There's 10 of them because we support all devices." And I was like, "Yeah, we'll just do iPads." That sounds like a
Yeah, I find it remarkable how people move into different forms of hardware, the cost involved. We're about to actually, we'll talk about this off air afterwards, but we're about to do a deal with Green King. I can talk about this openly now.
Okay.
For their tenanted pubs, which is so not the 1,000 estate of the managed ones.
Yep.
These are for the guys who literally what you're talking about, run their own businesses. They've got 892, I know for sure, all across the UK, and we're helping them kind of come out of some they get doorstepped a lot by tech providers who will go in. I visited one site, they had a kiosk in it. It's a pub. I was kind of wondering, how the hell did you buy that? So yeah, because someone's gone in and done a good sales pitch, whatever it might be, but we're really trying to help them unlock a lot of the tech stuff. They do not need anything complicated. They need it really simple, really quick, and something that, because they've got razor thin margins, and they need to see that. Number one, to understand where they're at, whether it's good or bad, unfortunately, and then number two, they need something that's really easy to carry on with. Yeah, and so we'll have a chat afterwards. But I think that's a really suitable route to market. Those kind of people. We're doing that kind of deal. We're doing franchise tech stacks where we work with individual people who run their businesses to help them buy tech. And we've got to demystify it, I suppose, almost make it really simple, because they end up buying. And this is not being rude to some of the legacy pods, but buying big bulky bits of product which they just don't need. They don't need 52 features for and all the other stuff that goes with it. So we're really working hard on trying to find the right people for the right product. And why I think it's the clarity I'm getting from you, it was particularly around that real obsession with working with the single people, is really impressive, because actually everybody who starts there end up going, oh, we're going to mid-market, we're going to this, we're going to that, or build out their product. So yeah, kudos to you guys. I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm happy with that. And what does the future look like for Bustle? How do you take it forward from where you are? Are you expanding into territories? What's the plan?
Yeah, so the current focus is Australia, New Zealand, and UK. So big effort over in the UK. So hence London Coffee Festival coming up. We're excited about hitting that one. But really for us, it's I think if we can establish those 3 markets, there was also this thing called time zone. So if I can get UK and New Zealand, I've literally nailed 24/7. And because hospitality is a 24/7 business with
you're never going to bed.
I don't. Yeah, sleep's another day. That was the concept, and then once we do those, we can start to take on different markets around which actually suit what we need to do. But it's also understanding the markets that need us. I mean, it's because we're very focused on this like own operators in the specialty coffee market. That's actually quite rare when you try and find
it really is
an audience of that in different markets. Like UK seems to have really adopted coffee massively. South Africa's got some really interesting movements going on to it, and so has Brazil. So there have been 2 markets we looked into as well. And Vietnam has got some really great tech going on and over there. But
so I saw a TikTok. Obviously, I'm a regular TikTok user, you can tell by my age. But there's a TikTok about I think there are a couple of Australian guys who go around every coffee shop in Australia, and they're playing music at every. I don't know if you've seen it. It's viral, so you can go and check it out. Awesome. But they are literally your customers, and it's all about community. They've done it really cleverly. They're all about community. They actually go and work in the coffee shop with the owners. They do a bit of social, bit of content with them. Gotcha. But there's I think I can't remember, they said 2,500. Independent coffee retailers in a certain space. It was mental. But I think there's the niche markets are really underrepresented in technology. They're kind of put into buckets. So a lot of our partners will work with people and go, yeah, we do this, that. Yep. And I actually think the niche markets aren't. I'd say bakery would be another one I'd include in that. Do you service those guys as well?
We do have bakeries on board, but I understand even they've got their niche that I can't solve for. And it comes down to recipe building and the use of the dough and the flour and the water measurements, etc., and temperature controls. And when they do recipe building, it's a whole. They need a scientist involved.
Like equations running around your head. Like if I put an animation on,
it is a little bit, and like their wastage movements are, they're just very different. So, and most bakeries we come across are also doing a wholesale operation off the back of it. So they're also trying to figure out how they supply on top of their own internal support. So we do support the ones who do themselves, and we're actually picking up more and more of them. But it's it's probably one of my deep dives of understanding their recipe building.
Yeah, because they're telling me that bakery is the new coffee shop, right? That's what they're saying to me. Yeah, so that it's a place of community. And we work with Cornish Bakery, who have got 70 sites now across the UK, but started off very much in tourist locations, just kind of moving through servicing the community, and they didn't have a particular brand. They kind of used to mold into the background, so they changed the color to fit wherever community they're in, and just did it really nicely and under the radar. Now he has 17. He's about to sell it, I think. I think those communities are really underrepresented in technology, and I think that I really misunderstood what Bustle did. I'll be really honest.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because my guys run a lot of the stuff internally, and there's a huge market for you here.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those guys are crying out, are ending up on, I can't say the name of the providers, but they're ending up on other pods, which I don't think is probably the right way. So yeah, we should definitely, we'll have a chat afterwards, not on air. But it's our job is to do that for people, to make sure that they're represented properly. So that's great. That's very cool. Sorry, I'm not even answering my questions here. I'm just interested. And how does it equate to in the coffee world? Is it really simple, in fact, what they're looking for? Like you mentioned at the start, is it the fact they're just looking for that access to data and access to, seamless kind of technology that helps them run their shift? Or are they looking for is there a bit more in the background? I've never run a coffee shop. I've been involved mostly in casual dining myself.
Yep.
But I've never been involved in that space. Is there something particular that gives them that niche or that nuance that you guys can serve?
I think that's the thing we're trying to dive deeper into and really trying to unlock. So we've been working with the roasteries at the moment to make sure that the pricing equivalent. So one of the bigger challenges that we're sort of hearing from the roasteries is giving their customers the confidence to raise the price, right? Everyone right, it's a hot topic. What should a flat white be costing it? And I guess by being a sort of cloud-based, we can do that sort of benchmark understanding of what is everyone's average pricing based on the area. And that in New Zealand, we've been able to do that really well and give people confidence to bring it up by 50 cents or $1 in some cases. And that's helped the suppliers be like, it's not just us. Everyone needs to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting, right? So almost like on the flip side of that, saying you've had a bad day.
Yep.
But what is a bad day in terms of context of the other coffee servers around you, right? Because if they've also had a bad day, then you necessarily haven't had a bad day, right? It's just been a poor day, period. And I think understanding that on pricing as well, not dynamic pricing as such, but knowing that XYZ charge this and we can charge this, you actually feel more confidence to be aggressive or confident around your pricing. So yeah, it was discussed last night. Actually, the thing I was at last night was quite a topic of conversation around how do we automate that kind of wandering around the street, looking at your competitors, going, "Oh, what do they do? Why are they better than us? And how can AI play a part in that to kind of help, kind of connect these people so you don't have to do the corner checking anymore?" Because a lot of people don't have the time, right, to go and sit in a coffee shop and kind of test their competitors. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had a few guys have done this, especially in the food court environments.
Yeah.
And obviously they go and do price analysis against who's doing the better movement, and everyone kind of forgets it's not about price. Like you forgot about hospitality, which is actually about the quality and actually the customer experience. And so it's like you can price yourself up as much as you want, but if the person serving looks grumpy and doesn't say hi, you're probably going to do worse. So maybe just remember the hospitality aspect.
You and John are going to get on very well. He has a very similar ethos and brings me back down to earth regularly doing that. But no, it's totally true, obviously. But that ability to understand what's going on in your area or your geography, I think is pretty cool, and I think it's coming. So
it is coming.
It is
for sure.
Okay, very cool. I was nearly there. And what about because you were saying every venue is unique? I've got a question here. And one size fits all rarely works in hospitality. Do you think you've achieved that with the niche that you're working with? I'm presuming you're going to say yes. But how much more work do you need to do to get that to almost perfect?
We have an internal saying called 88%. We'll never get to 100 because there's always like a little bit elements. But if we can keep on sort of targeting 88% of every single feature we build out, that just improves the baseline. And so in this case, right now it's all about loyalty and the old 10-trip coffee card and the love-hate relationship that one is around the industry.
How are you going to? So I'm really interested in that because that again came up last night. We talked about surprise and delight and all this kind of stuff around loyalty and how people move from kind of the stamp card to doing that.
You mean entitlement?
Yeah.
Yeah, the different elements of I've spent.
So my fifth visit, I went to Hawksmoor actually with my missus a while ago, and we walked in, and they took us for an impromptu wine tasting downstairs in the wine cellar. And we just thought we were just lucky. But it was because it was that time last year we'd gone for for celebration with some of the family. And they just had it'd been earmarked. So they knew it. But we didn't feel it at all. It just felt natural. But being able to do that in a high volume environment where you've got obviously lots of coffee transactions going through.
Very hard.
Yeah.
The issue is called the handshake. In my mind, the problem is the handshake. So in your situation, you would have made a booking, which means you gave the personal details, and now we can track. Right. Whereas if you walk in and order a flat white, you didn't do anything apart from walk into the room. So how do we identify you without using card details? So putting the card detail requires you to use the same card and kind of gets into the transaction game, and then we're wondering what the bucket is, and et cetera, et cetera. So now it's all about how do you make an emotional, loyalty experience where it's not actually about rewards just because of the dollar spend, but it's about, no, you're actually a regular of mine. Like, how can I take care of you because you're a regular?
Yeah, like the Cheers mentality, right? So when you walk in, they slide the beer down the bar. You're like,
Yeah.
How you recreate that in the coffee world, I think, is incredible. Well, you're never, as you correctly said, right? You're not going to replace that human behind the counter or the way they make people feel when they walk in and how good the product is. But there must be, well, I'm sure we'll find a way of bridging that gap to be able to reward people for their loyalty.
Yeah. Hopefully. That's what we're working on.
Next Friday?
Yeah. Should be done by Thursday, I'm sure.
Okay, good.
No, I think what got tested a lot, and this probably was the thing we didn't really truly acknowledge at the time, but when we all closed down for 2020, no one realized in our customer base, they didn't actually know their customers. They know them, but they didn't have any way of contacting them. No way of telling them if they're going to be open or closed tomorrow. No way of telling them what they were going through. So they just hoped that they were following them on Instagram or on Facebook, right? Which is a bit of a hit and miss on that side of things. So I think it's not that the customers didn't want to be engaged. They just had no way of being engaged. And at the same time, our creative customers who are time poor didn't have a way of capturing that information easily without it becoming sort of a cumbersome experience. And also, of course, you've got data integrity, making sure you're not keeping people's wrong, etc. God forbid. So that's we're now sort of like, well, how do you do this in a nice, I guess, sort of a handshake way where it feels natural, but at the same time there's some bonuses going on, and we're very much now about the emotional experience rather than just the feature or the functionality. So loyalty for now has been quite a functional aspect. You do this, you get that. That's basically it. We're seeing people doing a lot better job of actually making it more of a human interaction. But again, coming back to hospitality, like if you're in hospitality, how do we make a hospitality loyalty experience?
Yeah, because you react to bodies, right? You react to body language. Someone comes in looking sad. You say, hey, what's wrong? Maybe you sling them a coffee, right? Or you sling them something to say, have a great day kind of thing. So it's very hard to replicate in technology, as in, I'm sure AI is great, but I don't think it's that good. And it hallucinates a lot as well. So,
that's it.
Mind you, I do on a day-to-day basis, so it's probably not too bad. And what is I'd love to know your opinion on what the industry's like, I suppose, obviously you worked in it and now you're serving it, and you're in different regions. What's your opinion on what you're seeing out there? Obviously we talked about the sad side of things, some closures and whatnot going on, and there's more of that happening than we'd like to see. But what's your overall opinion of it?
My overall opinion is I think we're going through, I'd call it a steep learning curve for the industry. So specifically, I can only talk to my audience that I focus on. And I think it's, I had this wonderful conversation with this amazing sort of owner-operator in Melbourne one day, and she was like, it used to be fun, and now it's numbers. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, I could resonate with that example. I opened a cocktail bar because it was fun. Yeah. You don't open a cocktail bar.
Most people they're good at cooking dinner. They go, let's open a restaurant.
Yeah. And let's go crazy.
It all goes wrong.
Yeah. What do you mean I have to cost it out? And so I think what we're going through now is we're going through what we call is the costings part or the analytics. And that's never been that much fun. But once everyone gets an understanding of that and actually starts we're seeing a major increase in actually people building recipes and actually putting costs in and actually analyzing it and actually spending half an hour a week just looking at your numbers. It's only half an hour. That's all you need. And you can actually get a much better performance. But once they've done that, then they can start having fun again because they're starting to feel more on top of numbers.
Yeah, in control as well.
Way more in control. But I think right now everyone's still trying to play. We're still going through that curve of I just don't have enough time. So therefore I'm always just feeling panicky. And it's like, that's going to happen.
It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? The less time you have to control your business becomes out of control. Yeah. It's like I'm drawing this circle thinking, it's just going to go down and down and down until you end up and you disappear. So yeah, I totally agree. I think that that there's a huge learning curve across all of it. There's a bit of an educational piece around what can be done for your business and understanding how you account for it and how you control it, but also just not forgetting why they originally set out, which is, I think, is extremely difficult when you're faced with these. I mean, the energy crisis here alone was horrific, and that's still hanging around, so it's not got easier. And I think the headwinds that we've faced the last, I think, 5 years have been insane. I've been in it all my life, and it's never been like this. I think it's extremely tough, but with never wasted crisis, right? And I think there's some. It's great to hear, like, actually products like you who are out there trying to fix these problems for these guys, and actually just sit alongside them, not take over. You don't have to be a tech genius, right, to work with Bustle.
No,
maybe to build it, but to work with it.
Ideally, no. I mean, it's if anything, we expect you not to touch us very often.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's the hard part. So how can we make sure the times that you do engage, can we get the most out of you? So it needs to be fun and it needs to be intuitive and all the sort of classic sort of tech words. But at the end of the day, it needs to actually give you a number that you care about. So we're really worried about that actually being a useful number.
Yeah.
One that makes you actually either go, oh yeah, I'm good with that, or I need to do something.
Yeah. But provokes a reaction.
Yeah, let's get into it and don't be afraid. And I think one of the big challenges on, like, doing customer support is being superhuman on customer support. So, like, the whole team's all worked in hospitality, so ask us anything type thing.
Yeah.
And we've had some pretty weird conversations. Definitely not about POS or anything that we actually
I would imagine. Well, that's what I was saying. I think it might be quite good fun being in your world, because you're not working with CTOs, right? You're not working with these people who are kind of running 100 sites going, oh, we need to talk about integration. I mean, God, kill me now, right?
APIs,
so it's, God, no. But for you guys, it's totally different, because they're going to just be emotional and talk about what they care about. Like, literally, do you know a plumber? It's just like, why? Because you asked, can I help?
And because I'm in New Zealand, so everyone knows everybody. So
everyone's a plumber, right?
Yeah, everyone's a old Ted across the road who can look here. Yeah, no, there's definitely I think, but that's about sort of what it used to be, which is, the sort of suppliers were always about who your contacts are.
Yeah.
So coffee companies do a great job of, when you open a cafe, they're like, right, I can supply you the coffee, but I'll also help you find your machine. I'll get you installers.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who your architect should be and who your designer should be, or some recommendations. So I think we're sort of taking that same mentality, which is like,
that's a really good point. And I think that's totally true of those guys, that actually they don't just come with one; they come with like an army, don't they?
They do.
And it's kind of like it takes I can't remember the phrase now, something to build a village. But anyway, look, really interesting. I mean, we're meant to have like an hour with you guys, but I only get half an hour these days. But how do we get hold of you? Because I think obviously we have your team in the corner here.
Yeah.
You can wait. You're not on the camera. I think can I put you on the camera quickly? Hang on. I've got multiple cameras. Does it work? No, it doesn't. You'd have to jump in his camera. It's not going to work. But anyway, we've got your team here. How do people get hold of you guys and kind of find out more about Bustle and what you guys are doing in the UK? Particularly these guys, the creatives that you talk about. I think that's and we have an audience there that we can go after and talk to, actually, because I think they'd be really interested to meet you. It might be an avalanche, but because they're not represented, as I said, I don't think in the way you're trying to do it. So it's super interesting. How do I get hold of you?
I mean, we're simple. Go to the website, Hey Bustle.
I really built that up.
It's really up there. But I think probably the big point of difference is when we say that we want to have a call, we call it a 15-minute chat, and it's like being the maitre d' welcoming you in to find out what how's your night going to be, and do you want to go downstairs for a wine tasting. The thing for us is that 15-minute call is like, are we good for you? And if we're not, we'll recommend who you should go to.
Yeah.
So, if one of these big groups gave me a call, I would tell them 100% where they're going to go to. Because at the end of the day, we have been there. So we want you to have a solution that actually solves the problem.
Yeah.
So we use that call as more of an opportunity to actually engage, like, what do you need and how can we be of service? And so all these people, that's why we're like, call us. If you need a plumber, we'll help you with the plumber, and just figure out if you need a pause at the same time. But it's really, at the end of the day, just give us a chat, because we're there to help.
Love that. Very cool. And what is the website address, so that they don't tell us off in the corner?
Heybustle.com.
Heybustle.com. Perfect. Look, that was Tech on Toast podcast, guys. That was Team Bustle over here. You can give yourself a round of applause. Woo! There you go. And how long are you in the UK for?
7 days.
Wow. It's a spin. What are you doing then? Are you going to the coffee? It's Coffee Festival, is it?
London Coffee Festival.
Oh, I know London. Is it down in
Truman's
Brewery?
Yep.
Yes.
Down there
cool.
for a few days, and then
that thing's grown massively the last few years.
It's huge. Yeah. It's
What are you doing? Are you involved? Are you just going for a wander? Or are you?
No, we've got a stand. We're going.
You've purchased this. Yes, it's always interesting in the event space.
The big blue stand. You can't miss it. You can't miss us. The lovely team have figured out we're doing a treasure hunt. So you can come down to a treasure hunt, go and meet all our partners, and get some little gifts when you fill out the treasure.
Okay.
And doing a pub quiz as well, because we do everything that's not really normal.
I can genuinely say we had a guy who runs a company called Quizbit,
Oh, yeah.
A guy called Mark Walsh, and he built this quiz company. He's a brilliant guy. And he did a quiz with me on the podcast while we were on air. And quizzing, I don't know if it's a very British thing. I don't know if it travels overseas, but it is the best thing to do. Even if you're not interested, you don't want to play, and someone's playing next to you, like, hang on, I know that one. And you just dive in, kind of thing. You've picked the right thing.
2:00 every day, the team jumps online and does the quiz in New Zealand. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we do the quiz from the newspaper. That's just how we get together. So everyone is very.
They look really excited about that. Oh, 3 a.m. Oh, yeah. Yeah, did you? I know you're 24/7. You don't care, but these guys, they're in bed.
I know. They wake up. They just jump online. Yeah, no.
Oh, if you told me that, I would have come and done a quiz at the end, but I haven't got the mental capacity now. Have you? Yeah, you're not on the mic. So you can't control this. Anyway. Nothing better than a bit of background noise on the pod. Look, really, really, really enjoyed meeting you all, actually. And I think anyone listening to this, particularly you guys who are sitting in that creative net, give Bustle a shout. Let's have a chat to them. And if you can't get them through, directly come to us at Tech on Toast and we'll help you, and we'll get Abby. We'll set Abby on you, and she can help you meet them. Have you met Abby yet? Yeah, she's a force. So thank you very much, guys. Enjoy your week in London, mate, and good luck on your 28. Is it always 28 hours? I know that sounds stupid, but is it a layover, or like do you do some kind of? Yeah,
so you always do like a 2 or 3 hour layover somewhere, unless you go through Vancouver, which is great because you have like a 6 hour, like 6 hours, and you can go down to Gastown and have lunch.
I feel like I'd want to hurt people after 28 hours on a plane. I'd be choosing violence by the end of that. That's just says more about me, probably. Anyway, look, thanks very much, guys. We'll see you all next week.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thanks, buddy.